Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Abiding, the thumbnail I put, the little image I put on the YouTube page for this class today together is a photo I've shared over Valentine's Day, which was yesterday here, which is also Frederick Douglass' birthday and another important date I've heard. Anyhow, in our park where I walk the dog and walk often, in the snow, there's a nice bench where somebody has attached a butterfly. It's like a decorative butterfly. It's metal, so that's there permanently. But someone put a heart balloon this week, and it was so lovely. So I'm thinking of abiding on that bench, even when it's cold, even when things are adverse a bit for us. So let's get started for this half hour. We'll start on the ground, if that's comfortable for you. We'll be doing some movements very similar to last week, or building on those, and some additional ones. And first we'll arrive, and as we're settling onto the ground, or if the ground is just not available for you for whatever reason, it can be in bed. It can be sitting on, I'm looking to my left, we have a couch would be comfortable to sit on, where you can lean back, where your back can be supported. So it could be a chair as well, where you're not trying to keep your spine upright as I am in my sitting position here on the floor, but that you've got support. And arriving here together. We support each other by being here together in this practice. The community, this community that you may be part of in Sun and Moon Yoga Studio in Virginia, or on YouTube, or and your various communities that support you, even though you might not be with the people of those communities right now. They live with us, they live in us. So feel the ground underneath you. The way the body registers what the ground is speaking to you. And then how, if you fold in attention to the flow of our breath, how that enhances what you may feel from the inside out, from inside and out get a little thrown together. We can separate them out, but really they're so interwoven, interdependent. So the very ability for us to feel the ground underneath us depends on our nervous system. Which is inside us, but taking in the signals, passing them along to the different cells of our body that interpret, know. And then I'm going to invite you now to listen to the poem that I read half of last week. I'm going to continue and read all of it. And this invitation to listen to these words by David Whyte. And you may have heard this poem many times before. I invite listening freshly, and also as if you're listening with every cell of your body, every fiber of your body, and maybe even muting a little bit that part of your mind that is striving to understand. If connections come, like is very natural for us when we hear something, we connect to other things in our experience, and that's fine. Let that happen. But otherwise, open the aperture of your listening to listen with all your senses and all the fibers of your being. What to remember when waking. In that first, hardly noticed moment in which you wake, coming back to this life from the other, more secret, movable, and frighteningly honest world where everything began, there is a small opening into the new day, which closes the moment you begin your plans. What you can plan is too small for you to live. What you can live wholeheartedly will make plans enough for the vitality hidden in your sleep. To become human is to become visible. To be human is to become visible while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others. To remember the other world in this world is to live your true inheritance. You are not a troubled guest on this earth. You are not an accident amidst other accidents. You were invited from another and greater night than the one from which you have just emerged. Now, looking through the slanting light of the morning window toward the mountain presence of everything that can be, what urgency calls you to your one love? What shape awaits in the seed of you to grow and spread its branches against a future sky? Is it waiting in the fertile sea? In the trees beyond the house? In the life you can imagine for yourself? In the open and lovely white page on the writing desk? One thing that jumps out at me about this poem is I think it's forgiveness that he's offering and saying, we are not a troubled guest on this earth. You're not an accident amid other accidents. And in the way that clears some of the thinking patterns that are the self-judging and the not just of ourselves, but how we've incorporated what we feel, how we might have felt judged from outward, and how that structure may limit the feeling of ourself, of our inheritance, as he says, our freedom and our invitation to this fullness of life. So sense your breath now again. Let's come to the breath and let the way the words struck you, and perhaps with my overlay. And just notice the cadence of the breath, the cadence being just roughly in your mind, how long you could even kind of count how long the in-breath feels, and perhaps if there's a pause after the in-breath, how long that feels, how long the out-breath feels, and the pause after that, if there is one, how long that feels. And a reminder as I invite you to this little practice of just feeling, you can sort of just feel the length. You don't have to count it, but some of us may be liking the rhythm of maybe counting to feel that more concretely. Um, the invitation here is always to do this practice that I'm guiding you through, but it's really your own, and your life and your body, this vehicle, is where you can make the decisions of what feels right for you right now, harmonious, pleasing, joyful. And so in that permission, you may also find as we come to this quieter, stiller practice, how the resistance to that may be coming up, how a pattern of I need to push harder, I need to work harder, little voices from or big voices from our past, from conditioning. And in that moment where you see, I might have a choice here. I might have a choice to go lighter, more flow, more freedom, in just the simple practice of watching the breath. And you may choose to just come back to breathing, even as I'm going to guide you through movements with our arms and legs and body more now. You could choose to just come back to just this breath practice or just stillness. So let your knees bend if they weren't bent, so the soles of your feet are standing on the ground. And keep the knees pointing upward toward the sky. So we'll be doing something that is kind of like walking on our backs or like walking in place. And so just let your left hip get a little heavier and the right hip get a little lighter. And then release the right hip back down to the ground and let the left hip get a little lighter to where you might even slide a piece of paper under part of the hip. So while the knees are not going side to side, they might go a little side to side, but it's not a twisting motion in the legs and hip where the legs meet the hips. But this is more of giving a little bit of torque. That word sounds a little violent, more violent than twist. Let me say a little twist. Doesn't it? Torque feels like hard. So we want a softness. Keep a softness, lightness, integration of everything, even though I'm talking hips, legs, low back maybe. Feel the entirety of your spine as we're doing this little walking motion, just as if the one hip is pushing up forward relative to your body, then returning back to the ground or the couch or chair underneath you. Then the other is lifting a little turning of the hips. And maybe you're feeling a little something happen in the jaw as we're taking this little walking motion, and then let it go. Let it go. Maybe rest your legs down. Maybe just let the legs be where they are. And just trying one more thing with the audio. Let me try that. Is that better? Oh, it did it. It did it. Wow. What a difference. That setting now, mine might be too loud in your in your space. So now take your arms. I don't know if I actually have time to repeat last week's movement. So wrap your arms like you're giving yourself a hug. So usually that would be one arm is more on top, like my right hand comes to my left shoulder, and then the left hand comes underneath my right shoulder. And with the hand that's on top, so For me, it's the left hand. Pull that shoulder upward that it's holding and roll a little bit and then lower back down. Come to a full stop, arriving again, feeling, and then again lift. And there's lots of things you'll be noticing here. Again, go for feeling, letting this feel nice. And you don't have to come to full stop if you're liking the motion of keeping it going, but you could kind of slow down or pause briefly as you come down and even as you lift up. You might notice your head is rolling with you. You could roll the head even more deeply in that direction, or you could turn your head to look opposite, look toward that shoulder that's being lifted a bit. And my suggestion is if you find yourself in pushing or where something hurts, back off, back off. You can even back off so much that you might even just be in position and you are just imagining the movement, or even not in position, lowering the arms and imagining. It helps to have felt what the hug feels like, to at least have the image in our minds. And then let it go. Relax your arms down. Remember which arm was on top, just make note of that for yourself. Pause, perhaps feel the flow of breath. Feel whatever is flowing in to this moment for you, whether it comes from thinking, from feeling, from being. From being will be the deepest, most permanent one. That sense of home, that sense of sameness, presence. That is what I think David Whyte is talking about. To be human is to become visible while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others. To remember that hidden, that seemingly hidden presence that underlies everything that is movement and change and delight and grief and all the things that come and go. Okay, so let's take the other direction of hugging ourselves and lifting. So usually whatever's your default will be the way we were last time. So put the other arm on top, be very kind and gentle. This shoulder's a little achy, so I could feel that. And so as you lift the shoulder that's now held by the top hand, be gentle to you in there. Lifting, lowering, perhaps noticing how breath is flowing with this movement, or maybe not pairing it in any particular way with you. Perhaps pausing at some point. Oh yeah, and you might have done this naturally. If your legs are out long, you might try bending them and see how it feels with the knees bent, doing this action. Yes, pause at any point that you like. Stop, pause. And then let go of the hugging, rolling motion of the upper body and come back to the walking motion of the legs, knees bent and one hip lifting a little. And you may find that torque roll through the whole spine, and the other, in fact, follow how that lift of one hip, lowering of the other, that little seesaw movement in the hips without the legs going side to side. The knees stay kind of in place. And the way this movement travels through massages the sacral area and low back a little differently than when we let our legs go side to side, quite a bit differently, actually. If you like, just as an experiment, you could do the self hug and maybe take the hugging with the motion of the walking or counter to it. That might add a little extra twist in some areas of the spine. And if those of you are having some back pain, extra emphasis on that. Be nice to yourself in there. Command, invitation. And maybe bring the other arm on top if you're doing the hugging and marching together. This hugging motion with the little lift of the shoulder. Oh, I just love that. Opens up the back heart quite a bit. All right, let it all go and just arrive again after these movements, after listening to yourself, all the little experiences that we tuned into became available for. What new sensation, what new perspective we might have be landed in just here. And then you choose whether you would like to stay right where you are, or as I ring the bell, you might come up to seated for meditation. And I'm just going to fiddle with the audio because what I turned off is what makes the bell sound good. So I'm going to just turn that on for a moment. So for those of you new with me today, that was the cue that this is the stillness part coming up. Movement and stillness. And so re-arrive, especially if you've segued from reclining to sitting or vice versa. Just take another moment to ensure you're comfortable to stay put for about 5 minutes of stillness. And I like to echo Eric Schiffman's invitation to be still without holding yourself still. It's a little koan-like thing, I think. And for me, one of the messages of that is it's okay if you've got to move a little. But for the most part, we're seeing if we can prefer stillness. And in that stillness, we get to see more clearly what comes up that wants us to move. And so relax a little more. Check in with your breath again. I just had an image of like how a parent or adult will check in on a baby sleeping. The same way we check in with our breath. And enjoy. One mantra for sitting quietly that my teacher sometimes gave was one of my teachers is to just feel home. Initially, I preferred home didn't quite work for me, but here worked. Just this idea of I'm right here. That has morphed a little more into home, but perhaps one of those can be helpful for you as well. And just as a little orientation of where we are in space time, we'll have another handful of breaths together before completing this stillness practice. And so, David Whyte, and one of the simple messages of the monks who walked for peace recently, have given this idea that we can remember that we have this peace within us, this hidden, this presence prior to everything else. When we're with others, that it's actually a gift to others. That struck me, that line in the poem as well, today and before. And as I am moving, I'm not going to be able to linger long after our closing today. I'm going to just a very lovely social setting that is friends, good friends of mine. But social settings can often have some tinge of anxiety, right? Even with people we're very close to and comfortable with, maybe more so in some of those settings. And so it's such I used to tell myself I can go and I can just be a fly on the wall. And I like this a little bit more fleshes out. It's not that I'm just a fly on the wall, observing, but I can be there. I can be quiet. I can observe. I don't have. There's nothing I have to be more of, but just bringing that being that we all. I think all of us know what that is. We crave it. The world is often pulling us away from it, and not I don't know that that's malicious on purpose, but it's just how the world is, the beautiful things as well as the difficult things. And maybe the purpose of those is to actually to bring us back to this being. Alrighty, I'm gonna shut down all the recording pieces of this program, so those of you, such as maybe Lisa Vasu and Tanya and Sandra and Kathy and others who join out there, thank you for joining us, and then we'll stay and chat, those who can, a little on the Zoom. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
And then on the YouTube, ciao, ciao.